Hey everyone, how's it going? For today's video, I'm proud to present an exclusive, up-close and personal, in-depth look at this beautiful 2002 Acura NSX Targa. And this is going to be a detailed, in-depth review of the NSX. We'll start it up, show the engine, get an exhaust clip, and go over the performance data, and show you a bunch of the unique aspects of both the interior as well as exterior. And before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to extend a big thanks and special shout out to Cosmo Motors located in Hickory, North Carolina for providing the NSX featured in today's in-depth review. For more information on their dealership, including contact info and current inventory, both exotic and unique, feel free to check out their website provided in the description box below. And so, without further ado, let's go ahead and start her up, let her run. The exterior of this NSX is finished in bright spa yellow and is paired with the optional contrasting vivid yellow hand-stitched leather interior with black accented across the doors, dash, and center console. A beautiful contrast that really adds to a whole unique flavor of the NSX. The Acura NSX is one of the first vehicles in the American market to use an electrically assisted rack and pinion steering system rather than the traditional belt-driven hydraulic pump. The direct steer design incorporates a speed sensor to provide more assistance at lower speeds for easy maneuverability and little to no assistance at higher speeds for greater precision. All routed through a 3-spoke leather-wrapped steering wheel with perforations across the sides, grips up top, color accent stitching in the horn buttons located in either top spoke, and cruise control in the bottom right-hand corner. The NSX featured the option of 2 different powertrains tied to which gearbox you went with. The standard equipment consisted of a close ratio 6-speed manual paired with a heavy-duty dual-mass flywheel to handle the increased torque from its exclusive 290 horsepower 3.2-liter V6. It sent that power to the rear wheels through a torque-reactive limited slip differential composed of a multi-plate clutch pack and helical-type planetary gear set that balanced torque between the rear wheels to prevent the inside wheel from spinning in the corners. On the other hand, you can also opt for Acura's sequential sport shift automatic transmission as shown here, a 4-speed gearbox that allows manual selection by a fingertip control shift lever mounted on the right-hand side of the steering column. By putting the selector into M, the gear position displays on the instrument cluster. Then simply push up to upshift and push down to downshift. A governor prevents downshifts that could cause the car to over-rev. The automatic is paired to a smaller 252 horsepower 3-liter V6 and features a lockup torque converter for improved fuel economy and reduced slippage. Lockup is available in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th gear no matter if you're accelerating or decelerating. The automatic is also paired with the torque control limited slip differential that works to maintain vehicle stability in crosswinds and over uneven surfaces. It detects rear wheel rotation differences and transfers torque to the slower rotating wheel. For example, if the car is blown off course in some way, the goal is to direct the car back into its intended path. Acura claimed the dual mode setup in the sequential sport shift was inspired by F1 technology and offers drivers a blend of convenience and sporty performance when desired. And so, we're going to flip on the fixed position standard projector xenon headlamps, as well as the hazards. The driver's side window is automatic down, and we're going to check out the exterior. The early 1990s was an exciting time for import auto enthusiasts. With an onslaught of cutting-edge products from Japan covering just about everything from high-performance sports cars to luxury sedans, a tour de force of advanced technology, refinement, and performance suddenly filled the market, forever changing the automotive industry. One of the most important and recognizable creations of this era was the Acura NSX. First introduced for 1991, the NSX was produced till 2005. Along the way, it received some updates in both styling and performance, but the overall concept remained the same through the years. In designing the NSX, Acura, Honda's luxury division, set out to create a state-of-the-art, mid-engine exotic sports car that enthusiasts could live with on a daily basis. A car that would not only be reliable, but accommodating and ergonomically designed. A refined car that would carry an impressive level of performance and dynamism, wrapped in a highly advanced and premium package. As expected, the NSX represented Honda and Acura's flagship. With any flagship, it was a pioneer for advanced technology and build techniques, not to mention quality assurance. For the most part, the NSX is entirely hand-assembled. There were no automated conveyor lines, as the NSX was never mass-produced. Each car was mounted on a dolly and rolled from station to station as workers assembled key areas, allowing for high tolerances and multiple inspection points. Even the engine was assembled by just one technician from start to finish. If that's not enough, painting the car took 23 steps, with specially formulated products to use with aluminum to deliver a vibrant finish. Probably the most significant design aspect was that it was the world's first production car to feature a unibody made entirely out of aluminum. It's commonly used nowadays on high-performance vehicles for superior rigidity and weight savings when compared to steel, but the NSX took advantage of this back in the day in just about every area possible. The body, with doors, hood, and deck lid installed, only weighs in around 462 pounds, which is a 40% weight savings over a comparable steel structure, while retaining superior rigidity and safety profiles. When it debuted, it had one of the stiffest structures of its segment. The doors, fenders, front and rear deck lids are other key aluminum structures that employ a high-strength form of the alloy that's 50% stronger than other alloys. The doors themselves shave about 5 pounds as they're able to be made with a thinner skin while staying just as strong. Throughout the structure, there's plenty of reinforcements, including extruded aluminum side sills, beefed up portions of the lower B pillars and upper A pillars, not to mention thick bulkheads with reinforced cross members and so much more. In the event of a front-end collision, the frame rails of the unibody are designed with large radial curves that work to dissipate energy, spreading out impact loads underneath the passenger cell. The styling gives the NSX a very distinct, exotic appearance. Perhaps there's even a hint of Ferrari in there, but one thing is certain, 25 years later and it still looks amazing. Its sleek cab-forward design is low to the ground, with everything positioned in a way to give it a very low center of gravity. The long tail incorporates both the engine, hidden under the glass hatch, and the rear luggage compartment. Visibility is excellent, providing up to 312 degrees of view from the passenger compartment, the best in its class, not only eliminating any chance of claustrophobia, but it also allows for a commanding view of your surroundings. For 2002, Acura introduced many subtle enhancements to evolve the NSX rather than redefine it. Changes include updated front-end styling with a more aggressive fascia, revised chin spoiler, and restyled higher hood that incorporated new, fixed-position, high-intensity discharge projector headlamps, a longer-lasting, more modern alternative to the previous pop-up units that also provided 132% more illumination than the old halogens, while saving nearly 17 pounds with the new housing. The side profile gained revised side skirts and new mesh side intakes. Out back, the tail lamps carry new styled turn signals, which now occupy their own circular housings. Like the front, the rear fascia, including the diffuser, also gains new styling, with other subtle changes including a new deck lid spoiler, revised badging, and polished exhaust tips. While these changes seem trivial, they actually work to improve aerodynamics enough to boost the top speed from 168 to 175 miles an hour, and drop the coefficient of drag to a slippery 0.3. The removable aluminum targa roof, first introduced on the 1995 NSX-T, became standard equipment in 2002, offering the option of open-air driving enjoyment while preserving driving dynamics. The relatively lightweight roof panel easily unclips and stows beneath the rear glass, within a covered compartment above the engine bay. The 2002 NSX features a set of asymmetric forged aluminum 7-spoke wheels wrapped in bespoke high-performance Yokohama rubber. The wheels and tires were updated with the 2002 refresh to yield a larger contact patch for increased grip. The package consists of 17 by 7 inch wheels in front, wrapped in 215/40 series tires, and 17 by 9 inches in the rear with 255/40 series tires, representing an inch taller wheel in front and an inch wider wheel in the rear. With this setup, they're able to hold around 0.93 g of lateral acceleration. As far as the brakes, the NSX features standard 4-wheel internally ventilated discs with 4-channel ABS and traction control. The discs measure 11.7 by 1.1 inches in front and 11.9 by 0.9 inches in the rear with yellow dual piston and single piston calipers respectively. Stopping distances from 60 miles an hour are estimated to be around 120 feet. The NSX carries a fully independent double wishbone suspension front and rear with coilover nitrogen-filled shocks and stabilizer bars, while the rear also has an additional transverse link for greater wheel control. The control arms are forged aluminum in addition to heat-treated aluminum hub carriers. Both the front and rear suspension components are mounted to separate aluminum subframes using rubber bushings that work to reduce vibration and harshness and increase overall rigidity. Updates for 2002 include revised spring rates and a larger diameter rear stabilizer bar. Overall length is 174.2 inches with a width of 71.3 inches and a height of 46.1 inch, riding on a wheelbase of 99.6 inches. Total curb weight is between 31 and 3,200 pounds with about 60% of the weight riding over the rear axle. To pop the rear glass to access the engine compartment, you simply flip this switch here. There's also a little lock cylinder on the other side that you can lock it and prevent any unauthorized access to your engine. Engines for the NSX were assembled by hand by a single technician. Like we mentioned earlier, there were two choices for 2002 that depended on which transmission you went with. These power plants first appeared on the 1997 NSX and featured many of the same advanced design techniques, such as programmed fuel injection and a direct ignition system that used 6 individual coils over a single distributor pack. They mainly differed in displacement and power output, but also featured a few key differences regarding cylinder and block design. Automatic equipped cars like we have here featured the smaller, all-aluminum 3-liter V6 that produced 252 horsepower at 6,600 RPM and 210 pound-feet of torque at 5,300 RPM with a red line of 7,500 RPM. This likely translated to 0-60 times around the 6-second mark with quarter-mile times around 14 seconds at 99.3 miles an hour. The 3-liter featured aluminum cylinders with cast-iron liners. On the other hand, the manual-equipped NSX featured an all-aluminum 3.2-liter V6 that produced 290 horsepower at 7,100 RPM and 224 pound-feet of torque at 5,500 RPM with an increased red line to 8,000 RPM. The 3.2-liter could achieve 60 miles an hour in 5 seconds with quarter-mile times around 13.5 seconds at 104 miles an hour. Top speed is 175 miles an hour. The 3.2-liter also used modified iron-coated cylinders for increased durability and Aluma carbon fiber reinforced liners. The fiber-reinforced metal allowed for open block construction and larger bores with the same block dimensions and bore spacing. It also reduced weight by 5.3 pounds versus using iron liners. A forged high-strength steel crankshaft was used in both engines for a reduced rotational mass. Not only was the NSX the first production vehicle to feature engines with titanium connecting rods, it was also the first vehicle in the US to debut a unique variable valve timing and lift electronic control system known as VTEC. In a normal engine, intake and exhaust valves are actuated by the lobes on a camshaft, which subsequently controls the timing, lift, and duration of each valve actuation. VTEC uses 2 camshaft profiles and hydraulically sets between them to maximize both low and high RPM performance, making sure the valves are always open at the appropriate time, unlike traditional variable valve timing which only controls when a valve is opened or closed with respect to the piston position. VVT also doesn't alter the camshaft or valve lift duration like VTEC. Along with variable volume induction system, this also allowed more rapid filling of the intake plenum at certain RPMs, allowing the NSX to feature improved low-end torque and high-end power for its time. As far as fuel economy, the NSX carries an 18.5-gallon tank and requires premium fuel. EPA estimates range between 17 miles to a gallon in the city and 24 on the highway. Inside, the NSX was designed to incorporate jet fighter styling without compromising visibility and passenger space, while utilizing some of the highest quality materials seen in any Acura of its time. Like we touched on earlier, the entire interior was hand-assembled, including hand-stitched and fitted perforated leather across the seats, doors, steering wheel, and shift knob. Everywhere you rest your hand, you'll find soft-touch materials that further enhance the premium feel of the NSX. Even though the interior was just over a decade old by 2002, the styling remained modern enough that only a few updates were needed to give it a fresh look, including 8 new interior color themes with a number of options that are actually able to match the exterior as seen here. New center console coating and blue gauges. Now, nearly 25 years since the NSX debuted, the interior still looks fantastic in my opinion. It's a testament to well thought out engineering and a pioneering design. The NSX was also the first production car to feature a seat frame made entirely out of lightweight stamped aluminum, employing a third fewer parts than a conventional steel design. Comfort and support, as you would expect, is first rate, with low-slung bucket seats, plenty of lateral support, and flared upper back support. Dual front airbags and an automatic seatbelt pre-tensioner system provide safety for both occupants. Towards the front edge of the seat, you'll find 2 simple power adjustments for the sliding and reclining functions. Taking a closer look at the stitching, you'll find just how nice the details actually are, with double stitching across the edges for added durability and a ribbed portion across the middle for a sportier appearance. There isn't much in terms of storage space behind each of the front seats. You'll likely have to reserve all of that for the trunk out back and the storage compartment up front, which we'll talk a little bit more about later in the video. As we continue through the interior, the entry threshold is protected by a long black strip of plastic, not to mention a signature aluminum number plaque with the NSX logo and Honda Motor Company Limited. Your fuel cap release is located on the entry threshold, logoed floor mats, and a manual tilting telescoping steering wheel is standard. As you take a closer look at the dash, you'll see the majority of the surfaces are wrapped in soft-touch material with double stitching coming across the entire portion of the speedometer cluster, center console, and wrapping across the door panels, providing excellent detail. Nicely finished off by the removable aluminum targa roof.
So let's go ahead and see if she sounds.
Using the roof is really quite simple. It stows neatly within a hidden storage compartment in between the rear glass and the engine cover. Once you have everything tucked away, you can lift the roof panel out. It's a lightweight design, like I said, it's made of aluminum, so you don't need 2 people, but it definitely helps. Then just lock it in place.
So we'll go ahead and shut her up.
The standard NSX audio system was designed in collaboration with Bose to maximize sound quality within the confines of the interior to create a balanced sound for each passenger. Consisting of 4 speakers, a full range at shoulder level between the seats, and a passenger footwell subwoofer, the sound quality is actually pretty good for 2002, sounding like there's more speakers than described. An AM/FM radio with cassette was standard, while a CD changer was optional. The A-pillars are wrapped in soft-touch plastic. You have your visors up top, and a manual dimming rearview mirror. Beautiful attention to detail, with color accent stitching continuing from the doors, wrapping around the dash, and into the center console, all the way to the rear. This also goes the same for the driver's side portion, where it wraps around the speedometer binnacle. The center console is beautifully laid out with good ergonomics and simple controls. At the very top, you have a little digital clock with a little flip-up portion on the left-hand side with the clock adjustments. 2 center air vents, standard electronic automatic climate control system with your fan speed off to the right, AC, changing the different zones, front and rear defrost, recycling or vent, and your temperature adjustment to the left. Like I said before, a CD player was available, but the standard equipment was an in-dash tape deck. To the left-hand side, you have your balance and fade, bass and treble adjustments, ejector tape, and down below, simple radio controls including your radio presets, tune off to the right, changing the different modes, and your volume to the left. Underneath this little flap, you have a little lighter and ashtray and or 12-volt power outlet. If you push that, it automatically ejects the ashtray. Perforated leather-wrapped e-brake, felt-lined storage tray, and a leather-wrapped center armrest. Lift it up, you have a pretty good amount of space down below. And if you flip up this part, you actually have 2 adjustable cup holders. Rear-mounted speaker. The stalk to the right-hand side activates your cruise control, hazard switch, your intermittent wipers, and the manual gear selector like we talked about earlier. To control the cruise control, like acceleration and deceleration, use the buttons on the bottom of the steering wheel here. And like you saw earlier, your horn is fed through these 2 buttons. The left-hand side houses your lighting controls, rear defrost, high beams, and turn signals. The gauges display all of your vital information in an easy-to-see clear display, with a satin silver overlay and blue accented gauges. The bottom left-hand side button corresponds to the interior lighting dimmer, and your traction control button is to the right-hand side. As far as the instrument cluster, within the tachometer you have which gear you're in, speedometer on the other side. On the far left-hand side you have the vehicle temperature, oil pressure, and on the right-hand side you have your fuel and voltometer. Alrighty. We'll go ahead and shut her down. And check out the rest of the vehicle. So we're going to pop the front. All of your cargo space is located behind the engine bay, which I'll show you in just a second. Up front, you have some of the vehicle systems and vital components, fluid reservoirs, and things of that, but you also have your spare tire location tucked away nicely in the middle. Cargo space out back is somewhat small, measuring in around 5 cubic feet, which is just enough for a few small bags. You also have all of your spare tire changing equipment out back. The passenger seat also features the same power adjustments that you find on the driver's seat. Just like the dash, the glove box is entirely padded, nice soft material, and it's also lockable. With a modest amount of space, at least enough to put your owner's manual. At 25 years old, the NSX is still an awesome sight to see, a pioneer for its day. It represented a unique and fresh entry into the sports car segment. With limited numbers produced, they're scarcely seen on the road nowadays, but when they are, it still looks modern enough to really stand the true test of time.
Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed the in-depth look at this 2002 Acura NSX. Be sure to stay tuned next time, there's a lot more where that came from. Take care everybody.